Phew, what a day. I needed this. The heat of the sauna began relaxing my muscles almost instantly. The hotel was amazing, one of those that smell like money and sandalwood. I was alone, or so I thought. The steam danced before my eyes, creating ephemeral figures. I leaned back a bit more, letting the heat envelop me like a blanket. Then, the door opened with a soft hiss. The slightly cooler air from outside brought a familiar figure with it. Too familiar. It was David, my neighbor, the quiet, slightly nerdy programmer from the third floor. I never imagined him in a place like this, so exposed. We looked at each other for a second. Surprise in his blue eyes, surely the same as in mine. He nodded, a silent greeting. He chose the opposite bench, maintaining a prudent distance. Silence returned, but now it was different. Charged with unexpected tension. I watched him out of the corner of my eye. Without his glasses and with damp hair stuck to his forehead, he looked different. Less programmer, more man. His skin glistened slightly with sweat under the dim light. He had good shoulders, broad. I had never noticed. Getting away too? His voice broke the silence, a bit deeper than usual. Something like that, I replied, trying to sound casual. Needed to disconnect from the code. I mean, from work. I almost let the inside joke slip. He smiled. A genuine smile that lit up his face. I understand perfectly. Sometimes the bugs aren't just on the screen. We chuckled softly. The conversation started to flow, surprisingly easy. We talked about the building, annoying noises, the fifth-floor guy's obsession with loud music. The heat was taking effect. I felt my cheeks flush, my skin damp. I moved a strand of hair stuck to my neck. His eyes followed the movement of my hand. A fleeting glance, but intense. As if he were debugging my gesture. I felt exposed again, but not in a bad way. It was a new, electric sensation. Like a syntax error that quickens your pulse. Just as I was about to say something else, the door hissed again. That contrast of air again, but this time, the perfume that entered was different. It was her, the mysterious neighbor from the apartment across from David's. Silvia, always impeccable, always with an enigmatic air. Her entrance completely changed the atmosphere. If there was tension before, now it was almost palpable. Like a system overload. Well, a neighbors' meeting, Silvia said with a slow smile, her gray eyes fixed on David. David seemed to tense slightly. Silvia, what a coincidence. His tone was strangely formal. Silvia moved with feline grace and sat, not opposite, but next to David. Too close to be casual. The best things happen by coincidence, don't you think? She purred, leaning slightly towards him. I felt a strange pang. Jealousy? No, it was curiosity. Intense curiosity about the dynamic between them. What code did they share? Silvia looked at me then, a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Elena, right? From the second floor. Her voice was silk and steel. I nodded. The one and only. I tried to maintain my composure, not be a simple script in her program. David has told me. Well, not much, Silvia corrected herself playfully, brushing her arm against his. He's very private about his projects. David cleared his throat, visibly uncomfortable. Silvia. There was a warning in his tone. She laughed, a low, throaty sound. Relax, programmer. I am not going to reveal your open-source secrets. The innuendo was obvious. I felt like a spectator at an intimate and slightly dangerous play. The heat wasn't just from the sauna anymore. Silvia stood up elegantly. Well, I think I've had enough heat, for now. Her gaze slid over David, slow, appreciative. Maybe we'll see each other later. To discuss those bugs, she added, heading towards the door. Before leaving, she turned and winked at me. A quick gesture, conspiratorial and disconcerting. Conspiring about what? The door hissed shut, leaving David and me in a silence even denser than before. I could hear my own heart beating. David sighed, running a hand over his face. He looked relieved and frustrated at the same time, like after a hellish debugging session. She's intense, I said, testing the waters. I needed to understand what had just happened. He looked at me. His blue eyes seemed to be searching for something in mine. Intense isn't the word. She's a complicated algorithm. A curious way to describe her. What kind of relationship did they have? Were they just neighbors, or was there hidden code between them? She seemed to know you well, I pressed gently. The heat gave me unusual courage. David looked away towards the hot stones. We know each other. From the building. You know. No, I didn't know. The silence stretched again. This time, I felt something had changed between us too. Silvia's interruption had brought us closer somehow. I stood up too. The heat was starting to become suffocating, or maybe it was the tension. I think I've had enough too. David looked up. His blue eyes lingered on me, scanning me up and down without concealment. A full scan. I felt the heat rise to my cheeks again, but this time it wasn't just the sauna. It was his direct gaze, unfiltered. Leaving already? He asked, his voice a hoarse whisper. I nodded, unable to articulate a word. My body felt heavy, languid from the heat and accumulated tension. He stood up too. Now we were standing, face to face, the steam swirling around us like a veil. The height difference was obvious. I had to tilt my head back to look into his eyes. Eyes that now shone with something more than surprise. Wait, he said. His hand rose, stopping millimeters from my arm. I felt the heat radiating from his skin. I held my breath. The world shrank to that tiny space between his hand and my skin. A breakpoint in reality. He started, but stopped. He swallowed. There's a cafe with a terrace here. In case you need to rehydrate. His proposal was clumsy, almost comical coming from the quiet programmer. But his eyes said something else. They offered more than water. I smiled, this time with a confidence that surprised myself. Rehydrating sounds necessary. His hand finally brushed my arm as he lowered it. An electric shock ran through my skin. An unexpected and welcome input. Good, he said, his voice firmer now. I'll wait for you outside. Don't be long. He turned and left, letting the hiss of the door mark the end of that act. The steam took a moment to settle. I stood there alone, my heart pounding against my ribs. The heat, the tension, Silvia, David. It was all a convoluted code. I looked at my distorted reflection in a drop of condensation on the wood. Who was I in this equation? I didn't know what would happen at that cafe. I didn't know what Silvia's presence meant, nor David's invitation. But a part of me, the one awakened in that humid heat, wanted to execute this program to the end. I took a breath, feeling the last embrace of the steam. It was time to leave the sauna and enter, well, whatever came next. The door opened, releasing me into the relative coolness of the changing room. Outside waited David, and perhaps, answers to a very interesting bug. I wrapped the towel tighter around myself, aware of my own skin still hot, almost vibrant. The encounter had left an invisible mark. I walked towards the exit of the spa area, my steps silent on the cool tiles. My heart still beat a rapid rhythm. I wondered if Silvia would be nearby, watching. That woman seemed to have a script for every situation, always one step ahead. But my focus was on David, the programmer who had shown an unexpected facet, a much more complex source code. I saw him waiting near the reception, already dressed in casual but elegant clothes. He had changed quickly. Our eyes met across the lobby. There was a question in his eyes, and I had the answer ready. I walked closer, feeling the anticipation create an electric current between us, even meters apart. "Ready for that rehydration," I said, my voice sounding more confident than I felt inside. David smiled, a smile that promised interesting conversations and, perhaps, the compilation of something completely new.